Welcome. This is our audio tool. Our audio tool works similarly to our other temporal-based annotation tools. Specifically, we've got our play and pause down here. You can use that button as well as the spacebar to trigger the playback of the audio track. Here is our waveform. Throughout the waveform, you can click with your mouse and navigate that waveform. So as we're playing, you'll be able to hear the audio change and move throughout the track as you click through the waveform. We've got a couple of different controls. We've got a speed control, which will allow you to change the playback rate. If you set this to different playback rates, it will not change the actual file. It will simply change how you hear it. You can modify your volume, which will actually change your playback volume. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, and we've got a handy reset button that can take you back to your zoomed out. We've got an EQ, which allows you to modify the sound of what you're hearing. This, again, is not persistent, so it only affects how you're viewing it in this browsing session. Next, I'll show how to use the annotation tool to leave an annotation. If you click here on the Add New Annotation, you can then go ahead and drag a selection on the waveform. As usual, our annotation box pops up here where you can type in your annotation content. And I'll submit that. As you can see, the annotation was saved and loaded with your user color on the waveform. If we'd like, we can add another annotation to the waveform. As you can see, we remove all of the previous annotations from the waveform so you have an easy selection area. You can go ahead and drag a selection. You can drag that back and forth if you put your mouse in the center. If you put your mouse just to the right of the waveform, just to the right of the waveform selection, you can actually resize your selection on both sides. Once we're done with that, we can save that as well. And when annotations overlap, as you can see, we display them on top of each other. So you can clearly see which annotation is which corresponds to what in the CP. If you hover over an annotation, you'll get your familiar annotation pop-up, which you can click to isolate your CP and engage in conversation. And that sums up our audio tool. We've got a little bit of meta information if you'd like to view some of the details about your track, as well as a current time display, and a few extra tools like auto centering. Those are for more advanced use, and you can view our help desk to see more information about those.